Okay, so let's take a look at the shoulders and see how we can fix the shoulders. Now, the main thing for the shoulders is there's a lot going on in the shoulder. If you were to actually look at like a cross-sectional area of the shoulder, you basically see that it's like the bone touching it is like a golf ball on a tee, right? Like barely anything is actually supporting it. Very much so, the shoulder is protected by ligaments and tendons and then the muscles around it, okay? Now, we descended from apes, okay? And we used to swing from trees all the time. And what we do nowadays is this, almost the opposite. Yeah, so our shoulders are rounding forwards. We barely put our shoulders overhead. We barely do any pulling movements, or we do a lot of pushing stuff in the gym, maybe push-ups and stuff, but we don't do the opposite for our back, which basically means that our chest gets extremely tight, our back gets extremely weak, our traps get very tight, these muscles that pull us up to our ears. And in reality, we just get overall just a lot of pain in the shoulder. Now, when I talk to people about shoulders, I talk less. If you have torn something or you've broken something or your tendon's not attached, go get surgery, go talk to a doctor, go get physical therapy, maybe go to physio and you can help it. But for the 80% of you guys who are just suffering from a bit of shoulder pain, this will really, really, really help. Okay. And it's Get Sassy, which we know from the previous videos is what we use to fix all these niggles and pains and injuries. Okay. So before we even get into Sassy, let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. Okay. I see the shoulder as a ladder. Okay. And what it is the ladder is moved by these very big muscles like your pec, your back, etc., etc. But the base of the ladder here is supported by the small muscles. Let me move my mic. There we go. Small muscles and then the big muscles. So the big primary movers are the ones that actually move the shoulder girdle and the arm around, okay? But the small muscles are actually what stabilize the bottom bit, okay? So just like a ladder, the base needs to be stabilized, but also the top has to be stabilized. Now, the main thing that I see of people is their stabilizers, their small muscles are extremely weak, and their big muscles, the pecs, the shoulders, the lats, etc., are very, very, very strong, or they are completely out of balance. And that is why you get shoulder pain. In a lot of, honestly, this is probably 80% of what I see. So what we really need to do is we need to go through Sassy. We need to stop doing stupid stuff. We need to activate the weak / underused muscles. We need to stretch the tight muscles. We need to stabilize, and we need to incorporate slowly back. Let's have a quick look at the shoulder though. If I get rid of the muscles on here, maybe we can actually see the fact that we can actually look. There we go. So as you can see on this, guys, there's barely anything actually touching in helping the shoulder, right? Look at this. This is nothing. There's nothing there, right? And so what actually supports the shoulder is all of the ligaments and tendons around the outside, right? So as you can see from this one, here we start seeing all the ligaments and tendons around the shoulder. Okay. So here we go. Bam. And this, there you go. This is basically there you go. That's the shoulder, right? That is all the bone that is attached. How mad is that? It's ridiculous, right? No wonder we always get bloody shoulder problems. And so that is a fundamental thing that we have to work on. It's supporting the structure around it with the muscles. Okay, so here we go. These are the muscles that are attaching. Okay, and these all attach into the shoulder to help keep it in place. And you have the big ones, which is basically, if you think of the shoulder, you'll probably think of this kind of like this boulder shoulder, which basically is your deltoids. You have your front, your side, and your rear. There are more heads than that, but in general, that's what you have: the front, side, and rear. Underneath that, you then have more of the attachments that link into stuff. So you see, it links into your bicep, It links into your brachialis. It links into so many different things. Your triceps don't necessarily link into your shoulder, but then you have things like your traps, your infraspinatus, linking into the tendon. You have your subspinatus. You have your traps up here, right? And over the top here, okay? These all link into and help protect the shoulder, okay? And then you look, you see the massive big boy in the back, which is the latimus dorsi. Look how much that is linking in, right? Now this, as you can see from this lovely lady on the screen, the two biggest muscles in the body by far are your lats and your bum. By far, your lats and your glutes. But they are also the most lazy and weak muscles in the body. And so I really, really, really would recommend starting to understand how to use your lats. And also, if we go a bit underneath here, we can start to see your lower traps. Go a bit higher. There we go. Right? So we start looking at the rhomboids. We start looking at the infraspinatus. We start looking at the lower traps, etc., etc. Okay? Now, let's go to SASSY. This is like, that's a quick overview of the shoulder, basically. You can see kind of how overall it works and how it functions, okay? So, in terms of SASSY, stop doing stupid stuff. If your shoulder hurts when you're doing something, don't do it. Simple, yeah? If the pain is below 3 out of 10, you have my full permission to keep doing it. If it's above 3 out of 10, stop. Very, very, very simple. This is because most of the issues that you guys are probably having is to do with tendons and your ligaments. Tendons are what attaches the bone to the muscle, and probably the muscle is overpowering something and there's not enough stabilization in the small little joints underneath, in the smaller muscles and tendons. You see all the little things that are protecting the shoulder, right? All little things underneath here, okay? You've got the big muscles around it, like your lats, the powerhouse of the upper body. You got your biceps, you got your brachialis, you got your traps. All of these attach in and they help to move the humerus, which is basically what the shoulder attaches to, right? Which is this. So what we need to do is we need to stop doing stupid stuff to make sure that we actually give ourselves blood flow, but also time to recover in this stuff. And that means if your shoulder hurts doing a handstand, you don't have to stop doing handstands. You can just be doing downward dogs. Maybe your shoulder, maybe, just throw it out there, maybe your technique's wrong, and that's okay, because why would it be, right? Maybe you need to watch some videos on the upper push variation over on the other the Cali Hub on the Cali course, to look at how to actually get your shoulder position correctly. Maybe you need to read the handstand guide or the handstand push-up guide to correctly understand how to use your shoulder and the correct positioning of the shoulder, okay? The shoulder very much so is also extremely, this is a very apt idea for the shoulder because, correct me if I'm, yeah, it's the most mobile joint in your body. No joint can do this. It's a ball and socket joint, basically, right? So no joint can go through this full range of motion. And in the gym, all we do is this and we do this. But in calisthenics, you're using full range of motion. That is why rugby players are using calisthenics now. Swimmers are using calisthenics, things like handstands, things like skin the cat, to get their full range of motion in the shoulder and to make sure that in that basically like 280 degrees of range of motion, you're strong, you're feeling good, you can go into that range, and that is what's going to protect your shoulder. Okay, cool. Next up, activate. Like I said, usually the two most weak muscles, not necessarily weak, lower traps are definitely weak in a lot of people, and people find it very hard to activate them. But the big one that I see all the time is the lats. Now, the lats only get activated when you're in the correct position, okay? Basically, what it is you want to pull your shoulders down, almost like you're hiding your armpits. And you're going to feel this muscle here activating when you pull it down away from your ear, okay? Now, this muscle does, if I do it with my left arm, it does this, okay? That's what it does. So when you're doing things like pull-ups, but also when you're doing things like planche, push-ups, even things like dips, obviously skin the cats and stuff, you have to learn how to use your lats. If you don't use your lats, you're going to be using your tiny little muscles in your shoulder, or you're going to be using your biceps, and it will overpower them on the movements that you're doing. So you have to start to learn how to use your lats. We're going to have a whole series about how to use your lats, so stay tuned for that. So you've activated your lower traps. The lower traps basically function is to do that. So pull the shoulders up and back, okay, which is basically sitting at your desk like this. Okay, so if you pull your shoulders back and down, you're going to feel a little pinch in the middle of your shoulder blades. Bam. It's more like rhomboids, teres major, lower traps, etc. Stretch. Usually it's the chest. That's the main culprit. As you can see, the chest itself links in, okay, to the shoulder, right? And if we go lay it underneath, you'll start to see probably the pec minor. Here you go, pec minor. That also links directly into the clavicle, right? And so very, very, very important to work on stretching out your chest. If you're sitting at your desk all day like this, you're rounding your shoulders, this will become tighter and your back will get weaker and weaker. So very, very, very important to stretch it out. A good way to do that is literally, I do it at my desk sometimes. Put your hand behind here and just get a nice big stretch. You can just about see that. Okay, so I'm just here with my hand behind and I'm stretching out all through my chest here. Okay, now we need to actually strengthen and stabilize. The best movements in calisthenics for this are things like skin the cats, things like handstands, things like overall just kind of like activating your lower traps, your lats, things like active hangs are very, very good. And then slowly incorporate movement back. Okay, now I've written up ROM, range of motion, up on the board, because basically what you need to do is you need to start with a small range of motion and slowly improve it over time. If you want to heal 99% of shoulder problems, hang for 99 seconds a day. That's an easy one to remember. If you want to heal 99% of shoulder problems, hang for 99 seconds per day. Okay, very, very simple. It's about a minute and a half, minute and 40 seconds. And all you're going to do is grab a bar, let everything go, and just let all the tension go from your shoulders. Why? Just like I started this video, we descended from apes. We used to swing from trees. You'd have to get this full range. And if you want to go one up on that, do things like pull-ups, do things like skin the cats, do things like handstands, get your arms overhead, get strong in that range. And I promise you, your shoulder problems will go. Unless you've torn it off of the joint, then go get surgery.